Hi, YouTube. Brick Smith. How's it going? Welcome to another episode of Forever Sorting with Kevin A. Hinkle. There's my friend right there, Kevin A. Hinkle. Welcome, Kevin A. Hinkle, to the show Forever Sorting, which you are the superstar of.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, Brick Smith.
It's good to see you, Kevin, again. Wonderful.
Good to be seen.
Now, as we left Kevin 2 weeks ago, he had just became assistant manager of the Colorado Mills Lego store. Last week, you got to hear the great story about.
The trip to Net Devil.
There you go. And if you haven't watched it yet, go back and watch the special ones. Even though they say special, it doesn't mean you can skip them. It's important information.
It's just not necessarily in the timeline accurately. It's just
we got out of line because Brick Smith he's heard too many stories.
Yeah. Have we reached the point in this saga where, like, when you watch a good television series, like I don't know, Breaking Bad, Star Trek, whatever, where you get to a certain point where from that point on, they always recap like the whole season. You know what I mean? Like it gets to a point.
I think we at least have to do the last two episodes,
like a couple sentences, because I feel like it's at that point, right? Every show gets to that point where you get to a point in the show,
right?
And the first like 10 minutes is a recap of the whole season, and you're like, all right, okay.
Last week on Shameless, no.
Hey, I'm ready. I got it. But yeah. Thanks for coming back, everybody. Thanks for continuing to watch us.
Yes, absolutely. All 14 of you.
And, I'm hoping we're getting to 15. But
we'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, thanks again for everybody for joining us for another episode. Thanks to my co-host for sticking around and asking questions and being a stand-up guy.
I'm just going to sit here.
Just in case anyone's joining for the first time, as per usual, if you have any interest in following me across social media, I go by Mr. Kevin Hinkle on all social media platforms. My website is kevinahinkle.com. If you have an interest in just following my work, which would be my artwork or my Lego sculptural work, that would be Mr. Hinkle Draws, also on all social media platforms. And last but not least, I run a comic series for fans called Bricks in the Middle, and that is found on bricksinthemiddle.com or BITM Comics on social media.
It's blurry.
There it is, kind of coming into focus.
No, not even close.
No, well, it's A for effort.
It's a garbage. Okay. not the thing.
No, that's fine.
My ability to focus, or my camera's ability to focus. So Kevin, like I was saying, last we left these kids, we left them on a cliffhanger, which I'm hoping brings people back.
What happens next time? So yeah, I when back in our main saga, I had returned from Enfield, Connecticut, for my first time ever, being a lowly supervisor in a field of store managers. And I came back as an assistant manager. So that was kind of cool. Wasn't the outcome I was shooting for, but it was still a step up. So when I returned, obviously there was a lot of people, my family, my colleagues, my friends, kind of anxious to know how things were going to go and how the interview went. If there was an interview, did I get the job? And so, it was like I said, it was still a good step up. I got a raise, I got a promotion, I became an assistant manager from the store.
Assistant to the manager? I'm sorry.
What's that?
I said assistant to the manager.
Well, there was none, so I was doing the thing. So, and the district manager had said, we're going to leave the role open so that we could continue to receive applicants and interview. But if you remember, I was told, again, I was dangled a carrot that I can do well as an interim store manager over the next foreseeable months. There could still be a chance that I could become the store manager there. So I used that as motivation and kept doing what I was doing. this is also at a time where I'm very close to being done with college. If not already, I think I might have graduated. Maybe. So I mean, we're very, very close. So we're at my final year working at Colorado Mills in Colorado.
Oh my.
Not that I knew that at the time, of course.
Well, of course.
So yeah, I was I think I might have just graduated or been about to graduate college, and so that's where I earned my bachelor's degree in fine arts.
Good for you, buddy. I'm glad you got a degree.
Thank you. So yeah, so I came back and yeah, I mean, I ran the store for a total of 3 months. So for 3 full months, I was the interim store manager, assistant manager with assistant manager pay, an assistant manager title, but store manager for all other purposes for 3 months. And you know what? Times were pretty good, I think, in the store. I think morale was pretty high. We were getting the job done. There was, no toxic environments. It happens a lot in retail and kind of places like that. There was no gossiping really that I knew of. Maybe everyone was gossiping about me and I didn't know. But everything was pretty good. Sales were good. Service was good. So Lego stores are judged on 2 primary areas of service. One is the surveys on the receipts. So we've all been to a Lego store. We've all made a purchase, and we all know that they circle that survey on the receipt and go, "Hey, if you had a great time, let us know." And that's actually very, very important for the Lego store.
I always throw the receipt away. I don't do it.
That's fine. Hey, that's fine. So Lego made a decision a long time ago to not give you as a consumer any type of incentive to do that receipt. There is no do this survey and you'll get entered into a contest to potentially win a gift card. There is no do this survey and get 3 VIP points free on your account. I still don't quite know how I feel about that personally, if that's a good move or not. The rationale was that they didn't want to incentivize consumers into giving a more positive score. They want to just be super natural and organic.
Say supernatural.
Super natural. Not super. We're not getting into the Brickhead family territory. Okay. So we're just. If you heard that reference, Nick, put it down in the comments.
Put it there.
The goal every episode is to have a secret call out to a fellow member of the Lego YouTube community.
Maybe next week it'll be you.
Stay tuned. So those receipts are for the store and for the staff very important. They do get ranked, so the stores are ranked against each other. So depending on what the score is, and it's a net promoter score, an NPS score, which is not a Lego concept. You can Google what NPS means and how it works. It's about taking promoters, people that promote your establishment or your brand or whatever, to their friends and family. And that is how stores are graded in a lot of ways, to the eyes of the great Saruman on the top, the corporate entity. And it's also how the store managers are graded in terms of their performance, is how their store is doing. The other way is through secret shoppers. So Lego stores do have secret shops. That's a person that signs up to go into a Lego store, make a purchase, ask a lot of interesting loaded questions that a normal consumer should not know or ask. And then they write up a report, give it a score, and send it to the corporate office. Those are the 2 ways stores are graded in terms of customer service. And so our scores were okay. They were good. And then, of course, the district manager was still visiting our store pretty frequently, much more frequently than normal. Every couple weeks, he was usually back again and doing interviews and stuff like that. I think I might have touched on this in the last story, but I'll say it again just to keep us going. I was told I had to take vacation time. So I
had to. Yeah, you told us this.
Okay. So it got to a point where I was told, you must be gone for a week. Right. Okay, because I've been running the store as the sole member of management now for months and months and months. So there's a lot of time, a lot of hours. So I was told I had to be gone for a week, and I really didn't want to.
I remember this part, Kevin.
Yeah, I remember this part too.
Okay.
So this is probably where we left off in the last one. But so I was gone for a week. During that week I was gone, the district manager came, interviewed a guy named Eric, and then offered Eric the job all of this happened while I was gone for 1 week. So I'm still kind of in the mindset that, hey, maybe I got a chance. I'm doing what I can. And hey, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But just be honest with me, be open with me. Don't dangle me along. And so I came back from my vacation, and the first day back, it was Monday morning, and I was back from being off for a week. Is when my boss called me to let me know we've given the job to somebody else. And I was like, well, that's not a really great, super awesome way to come back from vacation, but fine. So they had hired a guy named Eric. Eric came from the cell phone world. So he was a Sprint manager.
Oh, okay. He knows everything about there is to know about Lego.
Everything.
Mhm.
And I still have mixed feelings about that match, because he had I want to say 11 years experience working at a cell phone store, and cell phone store, we all have cell phones, right? Everybody has a cell phone,
They do now.
whether it's Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, whatever. We've all been into one of these stores or kiosks. It's kind of like intense. It's like an intense environment. They are always trying to sell something to you.
Upsell you something.
And upsell and upsell and upsell and upsell. It's crazy. Like I go in for a new phone with AT&T, I walk out with 2 new lines, 4 accessories, and it's just like,
Yep.
I hate that environment. I hate it.
It's grimy. It's grimy, for lack of a better word. And my best friend sells cell phones, and I don't care. I'll tell it to his face. It's grimy.
You're grimy, buddy.
Grimy.
But I get it that it's we all need a phone, and it does a lot to help us with our lives. But it's just when I heard like, okay, we've hired a cell phone guy to be in our Lego store as a manager, I'm like, oh, all right, okay, fine.
Grimy.
So my district manager told me, I hope that we can continue to count on you to be there in the store to help Eric kind of ease into the new role and help him out. Classic, please train your boss. That's the, and I'm like, well, all right. So Eric came in a week or 2 later, I guess. Yeah, things were down, right? Like that's when I was like, well, I didn't get the job. That kind of sucks. I've been running this store for 3 months. I thought I did good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do good enough. And I think I mentioned on the last story that my old boss had purposely given me a dis recommendation.
For sure. Yeah.
So like morale was a little low in the store because a lot of people were counting on me to get it, and they're like, well, that kind of sucks. Kevin's not going to be the boss, so all right. But c'est la vie. So we came in, and I remember that first day, and I had to hold a lot back. I was like, okay, Kevin, get your head in the game. And so I remember it was another Monday, and I was in the back. The speakerphone was on. We're doing a conference call for the week, because we would do a conference call every week for the Lego stores. I think they still do. And a shipment had arrived, so a bunch of pallets, and so I'm kind of in the middle of a lot of things happening. I'm running a store. Come in, conference calls blaring on the speakerphone. I'm checking payroll because every Monday you would fix everybody's time cards to make sure they get paid. Shipments being checked in, and then Eric comes in, and of course, no fault to Eric, but he has no clue what's going on. I mean, he's brand new. He comes in,
Exactly.
and I already have a little bit of a little bit of animosity,
wound,
a little, and so I shook his hand. I'm like, hey, welcome to Lego. I'll help you in a little bit right now. I got some things I got to do. Kind of, a little blowing him off a little bit, because I was in the middle of 3 things at once. And so I kind of sent him out on the sales floor. You go stop talking to customers. So, and he did. He went out there. And I quickly learned about Eric, or I should say I was reaffirmed with my concerns, is that he's a cell phone guy. And so, I mean, his mission, was do or die. Like every person in that store needs to have a Lego set, and they need to get another Lego set before they leave. And it's just like I just don't like that environment and that approach.
No, yeah. Lego, if you're coming in the Lego store, Lego will sell itself.
Oh yeah, you don't
buy Lego. Somebody will buy a Lego shortly.
It shouldn't be about that. It should, if you're great with engaging with customers and speaking on their level and having a good conversation and just giving them a really good experience, the sales are going to come. They're just going to happen. That's just what's going to happen.
I was just thinking about all that stuff you're talking about. I bet you when I went into the Lego store in Chicago on my honeymoon back at 13, I'm pretty sure that they thought I was probably a secret shopper because I said, "What is this?" And they're like, "Oh, that's a brick separator."
Some of those questions that the secret shoppers ask are so unusual because they're following a script. They're trying to give you a score based on a bunch of, and it's like, what brings you in the store today? They're like, "Oh, thank you. I'm shopping for a gift." It's like, you don't say. Who's the gift for? And you're like, "Oh, I'm glad you asked. It's for a 5-year-old girl." And you're like, "Oh," I mean, it's so bizarre. And you're like, okay. Like usually you can tell at some point, like, all right, this seems a little too weird. Because it's always a gift for a kid. It's always they know the gender, they know the age, they know what they're into. They ask a lot of what is the play features of this set? And you're like, what? Why do you even know that's a term? So you can usually tell.
Yeah.
And there's also like bonus questions. Like you get bonus points if you can actually add on. No, adding on was part of the score. You had to add on something. And they usually would suggest you add on a brick separator or a base plate. That was the at one point we were even like scanning people. There's like, and did you need any brick separators or base plates today? And it's like, this is so stupid. But that was part of the thing.
I actually bought a base plate in Chicago.
Yeah, base plate. But there was some bonus questions that were like, did you say something about Lego.com or something some things where if you really like lost it somewhere else, those 2 bonus questions can help you. So like a absolute perfect score with the bonus was like 106%.
Oh,
like
wow.
It was like astronomical. But mostly, you would hover in the 80s. That's like what most people would hover in the 80s because there was some weird things that would always happen. Like secret shoppers were notorious for always coming to the store when it's busy. Like it's jam packed. There's 50 people buzzing around.
Nice.
And the first thing that would immediately just stab you in the foot is if you didn't greet that person when they walk through the door.
Yeah.
So I mean that's like you could lose 15 points off the front if you didn't say, "Hi, welcome to the Lego store." Like within 15 seconds of them entering the store.
Wow.
That's why when you go to Lego stores, there's usually a huge emphasis put on greeting you as soon as you walk in. Like, "Hi guys, welcome to the Lego store. Hi guys, welcome to the Lego store. Hi guys, welcome to Lego," because they have to. Because within 15 seconds of walking in the store, you have to greet them.
Wow.
And if you don't, like I said, you've immediately shot yourself in the foot. It's like, well, there's a whole chunk of points we already lost. And I mean, I've seen stores where the cashier and the sales associate were flawless, but they didn't get greeted. So the score is like an 80 already. And it's like, that's such a hit. Yeah.
Yeah, we really just went on a tangent.
No, these are good.
Fine.
Good tangents.
Yeah, it's good to know. It is good to know that they're not just being creepy, that they're required to get up on your business.
Yeah. And things have changed a little bit recently, but there even used to be some very specific questions you had to get asked and stuff like, who gets the gift today? And that was like a non-negotiable. Like you had to ask that question. And some people got so frustrated, like, I'm not getting a gift for anybody. Why are you asking me that? And it's like, because I have to. It's just like, I'm sorry.
Oh, goodness.
So Eric was there, and like I said, some of my fears were kind of reaffirmed, and I was like, yeah, he's a pretty aggressive salesman.
Well, go figure. He's selling cell.
He's selling phone.
Yeah.
And so he left because he needed to do some training at a different store. So they sent him to where did they send him to? I think River Chase, maybe in Alabama.
Oh my.
Might have been that. Might have been that. I think so. So that was mostly a common practice. I think it still is today, where a brand new store manager who's not like an internal hire or an internal transfer, they'll send him or her to a training location. And there's a handful of training locations. I think the goal is one training store in each district, and there's like 11 or 12 districts where they'll go and they'll train in that store for a week. So they'll work with the store manager, and that store manager is a training store manager. So they are a manager of their own store, and then they help train new store managers.
Excellent.
So he went over there, and we kept doing what we were doing. And then he came back, and I made a decision myself. I said, you know what? I'm not going to get anywhere being a jerk to this guy.
No.
That's not going to do anything for me. It's probably going to hurt me. And I like my job still. So you know what? I'm just going to do whatever I can to be a good assistant manager and help back him up and do what he needs me to do when he needs me to do it, and just keep the staff morale high and keep things going.
Folks, that's what we call the high road. Thank you, Kevin, for taking the high road.
You're welcome. And I mean, I did. It's not like I defaulted to it. I mean, I was like, man, I want to be a jerk. Because I did, like that first time I shook his hand, I was like, hey, welcome to Lego. Now, if you don't mind, I have things to do to run this store, so I'll meet you out on the side. Like, that wasn't an appropriate hello, but I did it because I was a little salty.
Absolutely. I don't blame you, though. I don't blame you. We're all human.
We're all human. But I eventually said, you know what? I'm just going to do what I can. And so, for the next few months, that's what I did. He asked me to do something, I did it. He asked me a question, I answered it. I just unloaded all of my Lego knowledge onto him as much as I could, as often as I could.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know what? If you're successful, we're successful. Fine. He really didn't implement any major changes right off the bat, which I think most new managers don't. They'll kind of be in an observational capacity for a while. So one of the first things he did implement was something called the manager's log, which I remember thinking was so dorky. I'm like, why are we doing this? So he had a little like moleskin book, and it was called the manager's log. And he wanted whoever was the closing manager for the night to write down any notes from the day, like so-and-so was moody today, or things about staff, or things about the store, if there was any major issues, like write like almost like a diary.
Oh.
And then put that in the safe. And then the next person, the opening person, would come in, open it up, read it, and kind of get themselves in whatever information they need to know. And then that cycle would continue. I thought it was dorky. I said, can we not talk to each other? Maybe we could do that. To me, it seemed like, I don't know.
Wait a minute. He sells cell phones. Why didn't you just text him?
Just give me a fun. Yeah. I just thought it was kind of dorky. I was like, I feel like, and I voiced it, but I voiced it very like professionally, and I didn't push. I just said,
I would have picked up the log, and I would, dear diary.
Today,
yeah. Boy came in.
Exactly. But I said, can't we just talk? Is that a thing we can do? Like, if there's an issue, I can just tell you.
No, absolutely not.
But he was pretty insistent that it get documented and be put into the book. I'm like, all right, fine. So that was something.
Dear diary, Kevin, not dear diary. What's his name? I forget his name.
Eric.
Huh?
Eric.
Dear diary, Eric's idea about a diary is dumb.
Yeah, that it happened. And so
I would have wrote it in there.
We did that. We started kind of getting into a rhythm with me and Eric about what I would do versus what he would do. I was in charge of visual merchandising, so that was the look of the products on the shelving. He left all that to me. I was also in charge of all of the window displays and all that kind of stuff, because he said I was creative, so I could do all that.
You mean he was lazy?
And I was like, okay. Yeah. um, he of course handled all the back office admin work. So things like making a schedule. He was very, very adamant on making the schedule. So he would always make the schedule, um, and he would do, like I said, the admin work, um, the stuff that most people don't like to see a manager doing, which is sitting in the back for long periods of time doing who knows what. And I'm sure it's important, but there's no transparency, there's no sharing of knowledge, so nobody knows what he's doing. He's just sitting in a chair in the back.
Right.
And he did that a lot. Um, we started having store meetings every quarter, or I think we continued it.
Yeah,
And
you said you came up with that idea, and then just
yeah, so we continued that. And I made sure when we would have the staff there, Eric would be standing in front of the staff, and I would always stand right next to him, right behind him, because I just felt like that was a good thing to do. I'm the assistant manager. I will stand right next to you, and I'll do what we need to do and help you spread your messaging.
right. Let's get yeah.
And so one thing that I quickly learned is that Eric had zero interest in product knowledge, and he
Oh no.
several times. So I remember one of the first times I caught something, and I was like, "That was weird." Is he didn't know what a Jawa was from Star Wars, which is small little guys with the glowy eyes and teeny, and they shoot.
They hang out with robots. Yeah.
He didn't know what that was, and he called them Jarwars. He's like, "Oh, the Jarwars," and I'm like, "What? What are you saying?" And we had a laugh about it. I said, "They're not called Jarwars," and he's like, "Kevin, you'll learn very quickly about me that I have no interest in product knowledge and knowing any of these things.
Wow.
So if you want to help correct me whenever, I would appreciate it." And so I did. I had to do a lot of correcting over my time, saying that's not what that's called, and I continued my role as being the product knowledge expert in the store. So he would call me often, like, "Hey, Kevin, come over here. What is this lady talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, all right."
Talking about what we get paid with.
Yes. And so then I definitely graduated college. College is done.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Thank you. It is finished. I am a college graduate. I have a bachelor's degree in fine arts. And I don't know what I want to do.
I tell you what, it took us 12 episodes to get you graduated. Congratulations.
Schooling.
Congratulations.
We're on a good run. I genuinely didn't really know what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to be an artist. I knew that. I just didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know if I should just start throwing resumes everywhere. Am I supposed to move now? Like, am I supposed to move again? But I did know one thing. Lego was giving me a paycheck every week, and that was stable, and I'd moved up 3 times, and I'm like, all right, well, let's keep this going. So something I had said to myself and said to my wife and my family, which is something that, it's ironic when we think of today. As I said, well, freelance is freelance. I can always do freelance. So I'll just keep this Lego thing going, and during, in between the breaks and everything, I'll get the freelance thing going.
Okay.
I did do very little freelance work, like right out of college. There was one guy who was from Boulder, Colorado, who hired me to do some editing work with his. So he was an illustrator himself, and he was also a poet. So he would make little poems and he would draw a picture with them, and he had a really interesting style. But he did not know like technology at all. Gotcha. So he didn't know how to scan. He didn't know how to edit. He didn't know like any of that. And so he hired me for a pretty extensive job where I had to scan, clean up, edit, and correct colors on his artwork. And this was hundreds of his pieces. That was something I did. He also hired me to do an animation of one of his poems. So he designed the characters. And he was kind of like a blobby guy with 2 like blob hands. And the poem was about like a shooting star in the sky. And so, I mean, these are short little poems. So the job was to do a quick short of the blobby guy He had a hat. He had like a fedora, and he like looks at a shooting star, and he grabs like a light pole, and I think he spins around it. I think, and like takes off his hat, looks at the stars, and like that was it. That was like the was animate that. And I mean that took a while. It took a couple of months to do that, and it was kind of interesting. It was my first ever like job to animate someone else's artwork. So it's like it's his artwork, but I need to make it move. So that was kind of cool. So I did that. I had a guy that I was introduced to by one of my professors pitch an actual animated series to Cartoon Network. So he hired me to do some artwork for his script. So he wrote a script and he said, draw the characters. I'm going to go to Cartoon Network, meaning him, and I'm going to take your drawings and my script, and we're going to try to make an actual cartoon at Cartoon Network. And I said, I'm in. So I did that, and it didn't happen. It was real. He went. He pitched. He asked me if I wanted to go. He couldn't pay to fly me there.
Sure.
And I couldn't afford to fly myself there either. And I was like, no. So we made a deal. I drew a picture of my face. And I said, here, if you meet anyone cool, take a picture of my face with them. And he did. He sent me photos of Craig McCracken, who did the Powerpuff Girls, holding a picture of my face. And I was like, I approve of that. That's cool. He also took a picture of, I don't remember his name, but he made the cartoon My Life as a Teenage Robot on Nickelodeon.
Okay.
If that rings any bells. And he was holding my face. And I was like, all right, okay. But so yeah, he pitched the cartoon. They said the feedback was that they didn't think the script was strong enough. So it actually wasn't the artwork. It was the script. And I was like, I had nothing to do with that. I was the artist. I wasn't the script writer. So those were, I mean, I didn't really do a lot of freelance work, which is why I'm explaining the ones I did. One other one I can think that came to mind was there's a skiing resort in Colorado called Beaver Creek Resort. And it's a very fancy, well-known resort. And they had a open call for an anime. They have a butler. Their mascot is a butler.
Of course it is.
Well, of course it is, because
at Beaver Creek, you'd have a butler, you know.
Yeah. So the motto at the time, I'm sure it's changed, but the motto at the time for Beaver Creek Resort was not exactly roughing it, and it's supposed to be a very fancy skiing resort. And so they had a whole series of commercials where they had this live action where there's a butler following the skiers. Like they're skiing down the mountain and the butler's like running after them with like a tray of wine bottles, and he's like running down the hill. And they decided they wanted to actually switch this to a cartoon version. So they wanted an animator, and they wanted a cartoon version of their butler. So they did an open call for character design, and then they were going to use the character design to animate the butler for their website. So they wanted to take this live action character they've created for their television commercials and transform it into a cartoon version for their website. Okay. So I entered. I said, I can design a butler. So I designed a butler and I submitted it with hundreds of other people, including several ex-Disney animators and Disney character designers.
Oh boy.
And they liked mine.
Hey,
Kevin had the best butler design. And so my job was that I needed to do a turnaround, which is it's a drawing that has the character from the front, the side, the back, like a 3/4 angle. So when you're looking at it, the character is turning around on the one sheet. So I had to do a character turnaround for the butler and a couple facial expressions, like just his different faces. And that was a $1,500 job.
Yay.
And I was like, man, this is cool. I was like, I have to draw and like do a couple drawings and I get $1,500. This is incredible. I mean, that really messed up my expectations for jobs for a long time. Because I mean, this was a major resort that hired me to design this character.
Sure.
I was not used to that. What was really cool, I thought was really, really cool, is I designed the character, I gave that to them, and then they actually hired one of my professors to do the animation.
Oh.
Because he was also all the professors at the school were still in the industry. They were all doing their own stuff. So he was a professional animator and he was animating jobs. So I was like, this is so crazy that I designed a character and then my teacher is designing it, like he's animating it. So the animation was the butler was using a snow shovel to clear away a path for the weather information on their website.
Oh, okay.
Go to the website, and the whole website has the snow filter going on it. And at the bottom, you have this cartoon butler who's sweeping the snow away. And I just thought it was so cool. Like, I remember my teacher coming into my house because I'm graduated now. And he like called and said, hey, do you mind if I stop by your house? I want to show you the key frames and animation of your character to see if it works with your design. I'm like, this is so weird. This is like what real people do. And so I remember he came over to my house and he only came in like the entryway. He was like, you have a very lovely house. Here's the, he pulled out the file and he flipped through the drawings he had done. He's like, so these are the key frames I have of your character. And he's like, and we had a professional conversation of, do I still get the vibe of the butler for my design? I'm like, yeah. And he also did a separate one where the butler does a really simple animation where he tugs on like his shirt. So he has like a jacket and he like pulls the shirt, like just, pulls that a little bit, kind of like to, spruce himself up.
Right.
So he's doing this and does this and he just stands there. And that was another thing he had to animate. So hand drawn animation. And so he showed me that. I'm like, this is so crazy that you're animating my character. That was it. Those were all the freelance jobs I did. And then nothing else. So money was helpful. So I was like, I'm going to keep this Lego thing going because the freelance stuff's kind of stopped. Yeah. So I said, you know what? I went for store manager. I didn't get it. And now I have this other guy who it is what it is. He's here. He's got a very different management style. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm supporting him. And he was very aggressive with sales. Very aggressive with sales. I remember one moment that will always stick in my mind is there was a little boy and I think his grandmother, they were shopping in the store and he had a little piggy bank, like an actual ceramic piggy bank. And he was, walking around the store looking at what he wants to spend his change on. He dropped it. Colorado Mills, concrete floors, ugly store, shatters. Eric came bolting from the back. I was there. I was on the sales floor, and I was like walking to the kid to go offer to pick it up. And Eric just comes bolting out from the back. And he's like, is everything okay? Is everything okay? And I was like, oh, unfortunately, this kid, dropped his piggy bank, so I'm about to clean it up for him. And he's like, oh, really? And then he just bolts back to the back of the store. Meanwhile, I'm getting a little like hand brush and a dustpan. And he comes out and he's holding a Lego piggy bank. So we were selling at the time a Lego ceramic piggy. It's like yellow. It's kind of ugly. And it had a little cork on the top. And he goes, I happen to think you guys are in the neighborhood for a new piggy bank. And I remember I like sat there, like I'm on one knee on the floor, sweeping up this kid's broken bank. And I just stopped and I looked up and I go, dude, are you seriously trying to sell this kid a new piggy bank who just dropped his piggy? I'm like, I think I sighed. I was like,
yeah.
And I just gave him a look. And that whole experience summed up Eric's management style. Like it was all about getting the sale. And I just, too aggressive, too intense for me. But that was his style. Whatever.
I don't. No, I think if it had been me, would have taken the piggy bank out of the box and given it to him.
Right. Just, you know what? I probably,
I would have get the chance. Huh? What did you say? Cut you off.
No, I said I didn't get the chance, but I probably would have done something similar to that. It's just like, why are you you? What are you doing? Just do better. I was like, come on. So I was like, you know what? I want to keep working for Lego, but I don't know if I can keep working for this guy. It's just,
I
kind
mean,
of.
I could get the frustration because now I got to know who's worse, the old manager or this one. Equally
Probably,
bad.
probably the old one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they both had their issues, but I would say overall, probably the first
Well,
one. Yeah, I mean, Eric definitely never went shopping on the clock for dresses. That didn't happen.
there's that.
He was there. He was there.
Hmm.
But there was. I mean, I remember lots of awkward things with Eric. Like I remember when he told me that because he's a big football guy. It's all about football. And again, whatever you like sports, great. I don't,
I like sports.
and people do, and that's all good. But I remember he told me one time he's like something was scheduled, and he goes, Kevin, I can't do that because I'm going to miss football. And I was like, okay. And he just kind of stared at me like ready for me to say, oh, I'll do it. And I was like, I can do it if you want me to do it. And he's like, okay, Kevin, I don't miss football. And I was like, okay. And then he made it clear that he doesn't miss football.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so he made sure to reconfirm with the staff he doesn't miss football. So he never would work on a Sunday or Monday night. Like that's not. Nope, doesn't miss football. And so I was like, all right, interesting. And I mean, of course, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I've missed a lot of really important things because I had to work, like things with my actual family and things with children and things like that. But okay, you can't miss football. Got it. I mean, these are things that mount into frustrations and feelings.
Sure. Yeah.
And stuff. So, but I'm like, I can't keep working for this guy. This is driving me crazy. But and another really important part of this story
Yes, please.
Is that a new customer entered the scene, someone who was shopping at our store frequently. Because I'd already talked about Cowlug and some of those people like Stuart and Dwayne and now I know work for Lego. But a new guy started coming in, a cable guy. So he worked for Comcast.
Okay.
Comcast, yeah. So he had the blue Comcast shirt with the lanyard and the ID tag. And he was coming in. And I don't even remember his name, but he was coming in. I'm like, who's this guy? And I mean, he would talk our ears off, just talk our ears off about how he was getting back into the hobby. He's like, this stuff's cool. I'm getting back into the hobby. I'm going to buy Lego. And he'd make a purchase and, he'd be gone. I mean, but he'd be in the store for an hour at a time. And I'm like, man, this guy's in here for a while. And he kept coming back. He kept coming back. And he kept coming back. He got to a clip where I think he was in every day. I think every day he came in because he was working kind of around the area and he was doing cable installation. So he would install cable at people's houses.
Okay.
And when he's on a break or he's between jobs, run by the store. Eventually I learned that his name was Reed. And I was like, oh,
I couldn't hear you.
Reed. Yep. As in Reed Yeager. As in Hope Castle.
Our Reed.
Our Reed.
Our Reed. Okay.
This guy was coming in, and of course, as any setting, people are like, "Who is this guy coming in every day?" And of course, are you guys hiring? Are you guys hiring? Are you guys hiring? I was like, no. But you could fill out an application if you wanted to, and so he did. And this is still not quite where we're at digital. It's still paper.
Yeah.
So he did fill out an application. He actually filled out several. I think he filled out like 5. Because he'd come in, he would do another one. A couple weeks go by, he'd do another one. And Reed, like I said, he liked to talk to people's ears off. He would talk to you about Lego and what he liked and what he doesn't like, and I mean, just this and this and this. And I mean, he would even start talking to customers if customers would come in and he talked to them about Lego. And I'm like, man, this guy's a lot. But he was a customer and he was fine, and I'm cool with talking. But I won't lie, there was a lot of times where people were like, "Oh, Reed's here, you go talk to him." That's fine. And so I would go, engage. So that's important. That's important for later on in our tale and story. But this guy started started visiting and shopping in our store. So now I'm like, I don't know if I want to work for Eric forever. He's kind of driving me crazy. And again, there was never really any serious issues. We just had very different styles of management. Sure. And I'm already kind of in this weird spot because I'm like, this really should have been my store. And this
right.
is
there's still always going to be that level of salt.
Yeah. And I'm just like, and then my freelance it's already blossomed and died within the first couple of months. So I'm like, well, that's done. And so something happened. We did a master model building event at Colorado Mills. This is a common thing now, but this was a huge deal for us then. Corporate said, we're going to send a master builder to your mall, and you're going to build an 8-foot tall sculpture of a thing. I'm like, what? Like, this was mind blowing. I'm like, that's amazing. And it was Yoda.
Nice.
Pretty sure it was Yoda. And I was like, this is incredible. We gotta do this. We gotta do this. I think it was Yoda. Yeah, it was Yoda. So
Yoda?
It was Yoda.
All right.
This is a really cool thing. I think this is really one of the coolest things that you can do for kids is to have this master builder, a real master builder, not Emmett from the Lego movie. A genuine Lego.
Hey.
Shots fired.
Whoa.
Shots fired.
You leave my boy alone.
Leave Emmett Burkowski alone. This is a real person who their job title is Lego Master Model Builder. Yeah. And they go out to a mall most of the time, and they'll build this giant sculpture using only like a 2 or 4 foot prototype model. So there's no instructions. They just use this model and eyeball it.
Really?
And the kids will use only 2x4 bricks, and they'll make giant bricks. They'll make jumbo bricks. And so it's a really blocky model, but when it's 8 feet tall, it's pretty incredible. So they said, we're going to send this guy. And so my job was to help get volunteers for this, because this is a massive event for a Lego store, for any Lego store.
Sure.
To do something like this. And your hope is that you're also driving sales and that the store is packed with people that want to buy because they're there for this event. And that's pretty much what happens. So Eric said, well, you get us volunteers because I don't want to deal with any of that. I said, okay, I'll be in charge of the store. I'll do the sales. I'll do all that. You do the event. So we kind of split it up so that I was in charge of the event. He was in charge of the store.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, my first thought was, I got to go to the lug. I mean, I have to.
Got to.
And so, I learned a lot from that, actually. I think one of the most important lessons I learned from being in charge of this event was how not to talk to fans. And so I reached out to CowLug, not through an ambassador. I didn't even know if there was an ambassador. Just, I know a guy, let me send him an email. And I said, hey, we're doing this big event. We're going to make a giant sculpture of Yoda, and we're looking for volunteers because this is kind of an all hands on deck thing, and we've never done it before. And we think they're telling us we're going to need 12 to 15 people to work just the event. And the staff is 8. So it's like, we need some people. And we're going to offer compensation. We're going to offer, I don't remember at that time what we offered. I know we offered a discount. We said, if you want to buy anything, we'll give you an employee discount, which again, at the time was 30% off, not 50.
Not 50. Do better, Lego.
I mean, they fixed it, but at the time, and I think we were giving them gift cards. I think so. Like, depending on how many hours worked as a volunteer, you earned so much money on a gift card. I think. I know it eventually got to that. If it wasn't there, it got to that at some point.
Okay.
And so. Stuart, I'm pretty sure I was speaking with Stuart, and Stuart was helping round up the lug and to get all the hands on deck. And then also, because there's this thing called Lego Universe being created in Louisville, Colorado, they also had a handful of Lego employees that worked in there too, including Jim Folds and Dwayne, and a couple other people. And so I said, hey, maybe we can work with the Lego employees there, because why not?
Right.
And so I spoke to Jim, and Jim was like, "Oh, that's actually a really good idea. Get us out of the office and go over there, and we can help you out." And, so Jim came, Dwayne came, and Joel. Joel he was a Cowlick member, and the guy that I told you in the special episode, who was from Denmark, who was building the Death Star,
Yeah.
he went back to Denmark. So he did a little thing, and then he was done, and he went back.
Yeah.
And so they needed another model builder. So Jim and Dwayne, who were both friends and AFOLs and working there, recommended Joel, who was another AFOL who was at Cowlick. So they had, I think, probably the best model builders, 2 AFOLs working there as the model builders. So all 3 of those guys came and worked the event. Something I did not know until many years later is that Jim took that moment to take an interest in me. I had no idea. I had no clue. I was running an event. But at that moment, he decided he wanted to just pay close attention to how I was handling myself and what I was doing. Mostly because I was in charge of the AFOLs at this event. And that was of interest to him. I didn't know. He didn't tell me. He told me later, but I didn't know this. So we're at this event, and if anyone has never participated in one, I do recommend it. They're a lot of fun. Yeah. So if you happen to live near a Lego store and you get one of those postcard mailers and they go, "We're building an 8-foot tall pirate at the Christiana Mall," go. It's fun. It's fun and it's worth it. So it really does actually take a lot of people to execute such a thing. So you have a master builder who's there, he's making the model. You have 2 to maybe 3 people that are floating around the area helping the kids build the jumbo bricks, because even just 2x4s, kids can mess it up. And so they gotta, overseeing. They're filling the bins on the top to make sure they're filled with bricks. And then you have one person that's usually helping the master builder. You have the master builder, and you have like a helper. Because master builders, it's all about the PR, really. They're the ones that are talking to the kids. They're engaging them. They're answering a million questions about master building. And so the other person is really building the model. They're the ones that are actually building it behind. But then what's really important is you have about 5 people that work in quality control. So here's the deal. Here's the secret, everybody. Here's behind the curtain.
This is why we're doing the series. Look at the time down there, mark it off, let you know. So next time you'll be able to pass on some Lego knowledge. Here we go.
Yep. Quality control. If you did not have quality control, which I'll explain what it is in a minute, the model you're building, the 8-foot model of a pirate, of a Yoda, R2-D2, a serpent, an alligator, would be done the same day you started, probably in 4 hours. That sucks. It's like, everybody come to this, everyone converge on this location. We're going to make this glorious sculpture, and we're going to be done in 4 hours.
Nice.
Terrible, right?
The worst.
You have a lot of people going. I mean, you have thousands of people that come to this because it's a lot of fun. And because Lego markets it. They shoot out postcards. They print it on the catalogs. So if you get a catalog at home and you live next to a mall that's doing one of these things, on the back of it, they're going to print that information on it for you because you're local. People are going. So there's a thing called quality control. And it's called that on purpose to kind of, shield the kids from catastrophe. The kids, importantly.
Always about the kids, folks.
The kids. So kids are excited. The goal is you make a jumbo brick and you give it to the master builder, and the master builder puts it on the model. You get a high five. You go over, somebody working at a certificate table writes your name on a certificate saying you helped them build the model. You get it to them. You have fun. You go in the store. Mom buys you a Lego set. You go home.
One day you become the master builder.
You are the master builder.
That's it.
What actually happens is kids go where they go, wow, this is fun. That brick was super easy to make. I'm going to make 57 more without fail every time. And so then you have this kid who's struggling, who's bringing over 5 stacks of jumbo bricks. He's been sitting at the table for 35 minutes.
Good for him.
And he goes, "Here you go." And pours them all into the bins that are in front of the statue.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't stop. He sits there all day. And he keeps making more. And he keeps making more. And he keeps making. So what is not apparent is that there's one person discreetly who's going around picking up a bin full of jumbo bricks and taking them somewhere else. No one really notices it's happening. Like, really, it's amazing. No one really even sees it's happening.
Nobody saw it, huh?
Nobody. I mean, it happens, but just the kids are so excited. They're building, they're taking, they're building, they're taking, that they're not looking at the environment. And you can't be really close. It has to kind of be off the beaten track. But so somebody's taking that bin, a full, like, Sterilite bin full of jumbo bricks, built jumbo bricks, and they're taking it somewhere else. So for our case, that was a vacant store in the mall. There's an empty store. There's black sheets in the front. You can't see anything in there.
Yeah.
And you go in there and, ooh, wow, there's 10 people in here vigorously taking apart jumbo bricks that kids have put together. Now, it's a little sad, right? No kid wants to see that they made a bunch of bricks. They gave them to you. You just take them all apart. That's an illusion. And again, I say, if you didn't do that, that model would be done in 2 hours. It's finished. Thank you for coming. We wanted this to be a 3-day long event, but little Johnny made 172 bricks, and now we're done. So good job, little Johnny. You ruined it for little Sally and little Timmy and little, so there's a quality control, and you need a lot of people for quality control, because those kids are going to keep building, and you got to keep it coming apart. And so there's this operation that's happening, and you need a lot of people. So it's still fun. It's all fun, and it's great.
I did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah, they don't know any better. I mean, they just think every brick's going on the model. And there are some bricks that are just poorly made. And I have to say, the most incredible thing I've ever witnessed a master builder do is discard a incorrectly made brick in a way that you would never know what he's done, if I can say that correctly. So he will never, ever make a little kid feel like they made something wrong, ever.
Sure.
He takes the brick, and it's great. And he'll, and I say he because the master builders are all he's. There is no female master builders currently.
Oh, you better Lego.
There are at Lego Lands and Merlin Entertainment, but not at Lego Official.
Wow.
So he'll be like on a ladder, building it. And I mean, I've watched him do this. It's incredible. And he'll put one and maybe accidentally do it, and he'll drop it. And it'll flip. You go, oh, shoot. And then he'll just grab another one and keep going. That one was built wrong. And he doesn't want to use it because there's a reason they need to be built right. Otherwise, it's not structurally stable.
Right.
And I just sat there, I think on a break, and I watched him do it, 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, he's purposefully, accidentally dropping only the ones that are not built right. But I would never know. Like, I mean, it's so natural the way he's doing it. And he doesn't do it in front of a kid. But like if some other kid's watching him build it and he sees him, it's just, I'm like, that's incredible. That's what the master builders are there for. For this, it's for the show. It's for the PR and all that.
Good for them. Like that.
So Jim was hopping back and forth between helping master builder Dan, this was Dan at the time, helping master builder Dan build the model, or being in quality control. And so I remember at one point I went out into quality control, had a little downtime. I was just breaking bricks apart, and Jim's like, "How are things going? How's the event going? How are the fans, doing with their volunteer work?" And we chit chatted for a little bit, and he asked me a question, a very important question, one that didn't register for me, not until many years later when I was reminded that I was asked this question after I'd forgotten about it. But he asked me, would I ever consider working for the Lego community team? And I said, no.
There you go, folks. You heard it right there from Kevin's mouth. No, I'm not going to do that.
not gonna. I think at first I asked him what it was because I didn't know what it was. Like, what is that?
Dumb question. No.
And then he explained it to me about working with AFLs on behalf of Lego, and I was like, no. I was like, it was just so no.
Hank loves the kids, yo.
And he dropped it, and he dropped. We moved on to the next.
Wow.
I totally didn't remember that he asked me that until he reminded me that he asked me that. But he asked me it on purpose, apparently.
Imagine so.
Imagine there's a reason. But as I mentioned earlier, I learned how not to talk to fans because through the whole process of like coordinating who can be there and what's their hours and what are the shifts and what do you do, what do you wear, I was treating fans like employees. That's what I was doing. And I didn't realize that was what I was doing. I was just doing that. And we gave credit 6 episodes ago or whatever to Stuart.
Yeah.
Stuart got me into mocking, got me into being in the lug. And you know what Stuart also did? Stuart also told me to calm down. Stuart pulled me aside during the event one day, and in just a beautiful, poetic, polite, professional, courteous way, he's like, "Dude, we all love you, but you need to watch how you're talking to us."
Wow.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like shocked. And he's like, "We're not employees. We are volunteering time out of our schedule, out of our jobs and our family." And I mean, this was really all polite. Like, it wasn't like he wasn't attacking me. This was just me and him. Like, we're all spending our time to help you guys be successful this weekend and run this event. And he's like, he's like, you're not being mean, but you're not, your tone is a little off. You got to remember that we're not here. We're not here because we're getting a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
We're here because we like the brick, because we like the hobby, we like the community, and we want to help you guys be successful. I've never forgotten that conversation I've had with him.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. And I learned, that was the day I learned how not to talk to fans. Yeah. And I mean, things were really good for the remainder of the event. I mean, it did stick with me. It stuck with me forever.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the event was great. It was really, really fun. We made a giant statue of Yoda. There's pictures of it floating around. When we do another photo episode, we'll show off a picture of Yoda. Another photo album journey.
There you go.
But yeah, that was good. And so Jim said, right before he asked me if I'd ever consider working for the community team, he had mentioned that there was an opening at Lego Universe. And that got me really excited. And I was like, I could work at Lego Universe and do art for Lego.
That'd be. Whew.
So that was a big deal. And so I think we're right about to hit an hour.
Yeah, we're right at the door. Yeah, we're maybe
so
even over.
Yeah, so this is a good.
Not much stopped.
Yeah, so this is a good place to end because, as I've mentioned earlier, I'm kind of getting a little frustrated working with Eric, and I kind of want to move on.
Feels like
now I've been presented with an opportunity to potentially work for NetDevil or Lego NetDevil, whatever, or Lego Universe.
Lego Universe.
And so that's another part of this tale.
Cool.
And then it's going to be time to start looking outside of Colorado.
No, you got to make store manager in Colorado. That's what I'm waiting for.
Waiting for that. Keep waiting. So that is that. I mean, we're almost at the end of our journey in the great state of Colorado.
My goodness.
But we've covered some more ground.
Yeah, we're getting there, folks.
We're getting there. And we learned some interesting things about a master build event and about secret shoppers and so I mean.
And we met Reed.
You guys watching, you guys listening. I mean, if there is, like, if you have questions about stuff, ask us. Throw it in the. I mean, it doesn't have to be Lego specifically. Like, if you want to see behind the curtain.
Yeah.
But you have questions for either of us, let us know because we're happy to answer them.
We're here.
For you.
For you. Well, that is excellent, Kevin. You did a good job again.
Thank you.
It's exciting. Still, I'm not really happy about how the vibe of your new manager sucks. That part sucks.
Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal.
Yeah. Maybe Kevin will give us some good news here soon enough, and he'll be store manager of Colorado's store, and then we can be happy about that.
There it is.
There it is. Thanks for joining us again for Forever Sorting and the Pink Bucket Nation and whatever else we're gonna
All the things.
hashtag all the extra stuff. I'm Brick Smith.
And I'm Kevin Hinkle.
And we thank you for coming. And remember, what do they got to do, Kevin?
You gotta love those bricks.
Gotta love those bricks. Bye.